There's Chris Edwards, the play-by-play voice of women's basketball, doing very well, and the men's baseball team. Chris, how are you?
Dave, I'm great. I was even better until I found out you're going to listen to Scott and not listen to me tomorrow. Like, what's going on with that?
I can listen to both of you. That's what's great about the Varsity app. I know we have TuneIn Radio app. I'm one of those nerds. You know that, Chris. I listen to you guys. And also on ESPN Plus, you do a great job as well. Chris, let's bring you in. And man, what a series you guys had with Baylor. I saw that 52 runs. 52 runs. Is that for real?
Yeah, it's for real. I don't know what's more impressive, Dave, the 52 runs that Duke scored or the 7 that they gave up. I mean, I think it's equally impressive on both sides, right? I mean, yeah. Baylor is struggling. They're a young team. We know that. They've got 13 transfers. They've got 23 newcomers, but you still have to put up the runs, right? You still have to be able to score the runs. You got to hit, you got to catch, you got to throw. So, yeah, it's impressive. This is definitely a different Duke team than the one that you guys saw a couple times last year.
And, Chris, before we talk about this Duke roster and some of the personnel and the guys helping to produce all those runs and hits, obviously an East Carolina connection, a very strong East Carolina connection, former Pirate third baseman, and then former employee of Baseball Rebellion there in Durham, and that's, of course, Eric Tyler. He's the Blue Devils hitting coach.
Yeah, I love E.T. Got a chance to know E.T. a little bit this year. Our paths didn't cross. He was a couple of years behind me when I was at ECU. I joke with him about how young he is and how much older I'm getting. But E.T.'s been great. Coach Pollard talks about the staff all the time, and E.T.'s a big part of it. And just the youthful energy, right, that these guys are bringing. It's a younger staff. These guys are energetic every day. E.T.'s a big part of it, and I think a lot of baseball guys will tell you that it's a long season, and you can't take yourself too seriously. I mean, it's 56 games. It's a grueling slate. And E.T. has been so infectious to be around him. It's been great to have him on staff and great to get to know him, and excited to see what he and the rest of the staff are going to do with this program as we move forward this year.
Chris, you completely just answered the question about the 52 runs. You got a Pirate as your hitting coach. That explains that.
That's exactly right. Pirates hit always, right, Kyle?
Always swing. You can't hit them unless you swing at them.
Hey, if you swing the bat, your odds of hitting the ball go up 100%.
I've heard that stat, and I think it's true.
Yeah, and Chris, one of the things I've heard, that Coach has done a nice job. I'm talking about Coach Pollard, and we think a lot of Coach. He's been like you. He's been very good to us and the show, and he's one of those guys that, just like Cliff Godwin, both those guys, if your son goes and plays baseball with them, they're going to take care of them, and also they're going to push them. They're going to make them better as a man, and as far as being in the classroom, a better person, and also on the field. And with Coach, it looks like he's done a nice job. I understand in the transfer portal, you got a couple good bats out of there, and also I understand the pitching's better too.
Holy smoke, Dave. I mean, let me kind of answer your questions in 3 parts. I mean, Coach Pollard has been phenomenal. To me, personally, professionally, everything I have professionally, I owe to Coach Pollard. He took a chance on a 20-something-year-old kid who probably hadn't gone through puberty fully yet, and brought him on to be the radio guy of his baseball team when he got to Duke 11 years ago. And I'm eternally grateful to Coach for seeing something in me. As far as the team this year, yeah, transfer portal has been great for this group. Jay Bashir is a Northwestern transfer, absolutely crushing the baseball right now at second base. You got MJ Metz, who's a Division III transfer from Trinity, but man, you wouldn't have known it. He has been swinging it red hot for the Blue Devils as of late, too. A couple big transfer arms. You mentioned those guys, Jason White, who you might see tomorrow in relief. I'm not sure. Jason's been great. He's a Belmont Abbey transfer. You go up and down the list. I mean, you couple the freshmen that we've got, the talented freshmen that Duke has, with the transfers, and it's been a really nice mix. I said it on the broadcast, I think it was Saturday, Dave, that like you got these older guys who are transfers, right? And they're juniors or seniors or grad students. And this is their last chance to win. It's their last chance to be good. So they're pushing their teammates, right? Because they want to win. But then you've also got these really talented freshmen. And sometimes being young can be a good thing. Like you can be young and dumb, and that's a good thing because you don't know what you're not supposed to know, right? You don't know that you're not supposed to be good. And so these guys have been playing at a really high level. So I think it's been a nice blend between the youth and the experience. And I really hope, and I think that'll pay dividends for Duke as we move forward.
So, Chris, tell us about this club defensively. Dave referenced and some of the arms and so forth. But if you would tell us about the club defensively and how they're faring there.
Yeah, Bubba, they've only made, I think, 3 or 4 errors all year long. I mean, you've got Alex. We haven't even talked about Alex Mooney. Alex Mooney, who was the freshman of the year in the ACC last year, he's the starting shortstop. The guy is just getting it done at a really high level this year. So Mooney and Storm on the left side of the infield. Bashirs has played a really solid second base. MJ Metz is like a Hoover vacuum cleaner over there at first base. Alex Stone has kind of taken over the catcher's race, if you will. I think Andrew Yu's going to have a big part to say. They're going to push each other, but Alex has been kind of the main guy this year. We talked about the transfers earlier. Giovanni DiGiacomo, an LSU transfer, can really go get the baseball in center field. It kind of reminds me of a Joey Loperfido or a Kenny Taylor that Duke had a few years ago. Damon Lux is in right field. Damon's been swinging a really hot stick, too. He's been at Duke. This is his graduate student year. And Damon is finally healthy, and I think you're seeing that by the way he can go retrieve the baseball into the alleyways, the way he's swinging the bat. This is a club, and you guys know this as good as anybody else. This is a club and a program and Coach Pollard that preaches pitching and defense. And this is a team that's not going to beat themselves as a usual thing. They're not going to give up a ton of extra outs. They're not going to give you a whole lot of chances. And they're going to field 970, 980, and they're going to be, hopefully, in every ball game that they play. This is a team, this weekend notwithstanding, that I think is going to play in a lot of close games, and pitching and defense is going to be a big part of that.
Dave, listening to Chris right then, I have a new intro. I want you to start introducing me as the man that's always swinging a really hot stick.
Wow.
I'm not touching that one. Chris, that's why Kyle always brings the comedic relief there for us always. Enjoyed, by the way, I know you're disappointed yesterday with the Duke women coming up short there at Cameron, but they've had a great year too. You do an excellent job for those that love women's basketball like I do. And I had some friends that went to the game yesterday. So I know that you do a great job with that. So I want to give a shout out. If people want, they can watch Chris do that. He does great work there.
Hey, maybe the Pirates and the Lady Blue Devils will meet in the postseason this year.
That would be great.
There you go.
That would be awesome. Kim McNeil's club has had a phenomenal year for down in. Been lucky to do, I think, 7 or 8 of those games on ESPN.
Yeah.
That's been a lot of fun to get to know that program and Coach McNeil and the great job that she's done.
No doubt. Let's talk back on the baseball diamond. I had to throw that shout out to you.
Well, thanks. We're excited for Greensboro later this week, and hopefully we can get a little revenge on Friday night against Carolina.
There you go. No doubt about it. So with this baseball team, I know with Coach Pollard and Bubba and I have had him on numerous times, and great job. And one of the things that we've been very impressed with is this Duke program has at least 2 super regionals off the top of my head.
Yeah, 2018 and 2019.
Yeah, and so he took a program that, if you're from Durham like I am, you know that baseball, at least in my lifetime, I don't remember it being as good as it is right now. Am I wrong on that, Chris?
No, not at all, Dave. So Duke went to a regional in 2016, and that was the first time in 55 years.
Yeah.
They'd been to a regional, got swept, 2 and out down in Columbia. Had, I guess, a step back in 2017. Then 2018, you put together this great run. You go to a super regional. You're a win away from Omaha. There was a call at second base in game 1 of that super regional that cost the Blue Devils a chance to go to Omaha, but we're not going to relive that with one of our ACC officials who we see all the time. And then in 2019, get to another super regional. You're a win away from Omaha, and then some guy named Kumar Rocker decides to hitter. I think he would have no hit the 27 Yankees that night. But to be a win away from Omaha a couple of times, and then 2020 COVID, I contend, and I will always say this, that Duke team was going to Omaha. That's the best team that Coach Pollard has had. You had everything. I mean, Jarvis threw a perfect game that year. Now, I'm not going to sit here. I'm not naive to the fact that Jarvis could have, blown out his arm, or somebody could have had some kind of catastrophic injury. But on paper, the way that team was going, that was a team that I will always believe was going to Omaha. And then in 2021, you win the ACC tournament. You go to the toughest regional, I think, in the country that year with Tennessee, who was one of the hottest teams in the country, Liberty, who was really good, Wright State was the best offensive team in the country that whole year. So, yeah, but long-winded answer to your question, Dave. But, yes, I mean, baseball at Duke has never been better than it has been since 2016, and a large credit of that goes to Coach Pollard.
Chris,
Yeah.
are the fans starting to get behind it with all the recent success? I know Duke's always known for great crowds for basketball at Cameron Indoor. But how are the fans embracing the baseball program?
Yeah, Kyle, I think for baseball, it's always, and it's probably like this in a lot of places where once basketball is over, people start paying a lot more attention to baseball. That's kind of the way it's been. And during my experience, the postseason runs that Duke has had. Now, when you get a North Carolina, you get a Virginia, Miami, and NC State, you'll get some great weekend crowds for those. And hopefully a decent crowd tomorrow. Weather should be great in Durham. So we look forward to having a lot of Pirate fans, a lot of Blue Devil fans out there tomorrow. But I think once we get deeper into the season, you see a lot more Blue Devil fans. It'll help this year that the ACC tournament's back in Durham at the Durham Bulls Athletic Park. But I can remember in 2021 in Charlotte at the ACC tournament in the championship game against NC State, there were a ton of Blue Devil fans there. And I think that's the point of the year, Kyle, when you start to pick up the casual fan that are just like, oh, Duke's playing baseball. They must be pretty good. They're the championship. Let's go watch them play. And that's kind of been the way I think it's gone the last couple of years.
Chris, one question I had: will Duke ever improve the baseball stadium? I know you have the DBAP, and I know that, and I love that. Don't get me wrong. In fact, I would love to see a game at Durham Athletic Park. But as far as Duke on campus, will they build a new baseball stadium or improve what they have?
Yeah, Dave, I think there's some of those conversations going on now. I'm obviously not privy to all that information, but I would be shocked if there are not some more improvements to Jack Coombs Field in the next 2 to 3 years.
But you could host a regional, just have it at DBAP right now, right?
There are plans, Dave, where they have mapped it out, and there is a plan where Duke could host a regional at Jack Coombs Field.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So it would be awesome. I think it'd be a great environment. I mean, I love Coombs. The DBAP is great, and it's great to be down there with our friends at the Durham Bulls. But I love Coombs, and I think it's an intimate setting. It's a unique setting, and it's a lot of fun anytime we can get on campus.
Now, Chris, a few minutes ago before you joined the show, we were talking about East Carolina freshman lefty Zach Root. He's getting the ball tomorrow, it appears. I believe that was announced earlier today. So tell us about Duke starter right-hander, is it Alex Gow?
Yeah, Alex is another one of those transfers for the Blue Devils. And I don't look for Alex to be in there very long tomorrow, Bubba. I think he's probably a one time through the order, maybe. This is going to be a staff day for Duke, and that's the way the Blue Devils have approached a lot of the midweeks since Coach Pollard's been at Duke. It's the way they've approached a couple of their weekend games already this year. It's kind of like having an opener. Think about the Tampa Bay Rays and the way that they were able to navigate their way through the postseason and through the regular season, for that matter, with having an opener, a guy that gives you 2, maybe 3 innings, gets you one time through the order, and then you turn it over to the rest of the bullpen. The one thing that Coach Pollard's been very cognizant of since he's gotten to Duke is not to overextend anybody in these midweek games. You're not going to see anybody go out there and throw 70, 80, 90, 100 pitches. No one's going to throw tomorrow to the point where they can't be available for the weekend series against Princeton this weekend. And this is the last, as you guys know, the last week before ACC play heats up for Duke. They're at home against a very good Wake Forest team next weekend. So this is about continuing, obviously, to win the game, but to continue to develop guys, build up the capacity, get the pitch counts going, and hopefully get some of those freshman arms some more reps before we get to the heart of ACC play.
No question about it. With the series, always great. In fact, I heard Aaron Fett the day on Pirate Radio this afternoon on PRL, and I was thinking about you guys. But if you look at Wake Forest, Duke, NC State, Carolina, Tobacco Road, if you will, there's Charlotte's doing very well, Matt's favorite school. I know I'll get him excited about that in baseball. Let's see. I know that Bubba's favorite school, I'm just kidding, Appalachian State is 7-0 right now, but a lot of good teams in the state of North Carolina, Chris.
Yeah, there's a ton of great teams in North Carolina, and that just speaks to the coaches that we have in this state. It speaks to the talent we have in this state. I mean, look, you don't have to go very far around the state to realize that there's some really good high school baseball being played in this state. You guys know it as good as anybody else with Rose and Conley and all the other schools that are around the Greenville area. I mean, there's really good baseball in North Carolina, and you're seeing it at the college level, and now maybe people are going to start paying attention to it at a national level too.
No doubt, Chris. Appreciate your time tonight. I know you've got to run, but before we let you go, how can people listen to your work? I know the Varsity app, right?
Yeah, the Varsity Network app. Just search for Duke Baseball. We'll be there tomorrow because Duke has a men's basketball game. Will be a one-camera ACC Network extra stream, so you'll get to listen to me do a little throwback one-camera TV broadcast, radio broadcast. So hopefully we try to do a little Vin Scully and paint the picture for you guys as well too. So excited about tomorrow. Excited to have the Pirates come to town. Looking forward to a great game. Always great to be on with you guys. And if I could, just real quick, just thinking about all my friends down there at ECU with Jeff. Jeff was so good to me as a student at ECU and even after. And it's just not the same without the voice of the Pirates around. So Jeff is in my heart. His family's in my prayers. And so is everybody else in Pirate Nation.
And Chris, I don't know if you saw, Terry Holland passed away today also. So we have two legends of ECU passing away really close together. So we're really mourning the loss of two legends in Pirate Nation. Really close.
How good was Terry Holland? I mean, Terry had time for everybody, no matter if you were the president of the university, right. Steve Ballard when I was in school, or if it was, me as a freshman or a sophomore walking around campus. He had time to talk to everybody. And Terry's impact and fingerprints on the athletic department are still felt today. And certainly thinking about Ann and all of Coach Holland's family and everybody in Pirate Nation.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris, my friend. Don't be a stranger. Love to have you back on soon.
You guys, anytime. Always great to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Take care, bud.
See you guys.